Welcome to the Beit Din, the Jewish People's Court. Today, Esther Simon, whose mother died shortly after she gave birth, comes before the Beit Din as a woman who had been raised by her father in a Jewish home. She had a bat mitzvah, keeps kosher, and even while she was at college, Esther has abided by traditional Jewish customs and values. She is engaged to be married to Joel Waxman, who is the plaintiff today. Joel comes from a traditional family, and he and his mother Sonia have asked Esther for her mother's maiden name in order that they might add it to their family tree. When Esther questions her father about this, her father informs her that in fact her mother was not Jewish. However, Esther had been converted as a child, brought to the mikveh, to the ritual bath as part of that procedure, and Esther has been brought up Jewish all of her life and really thinks very little of this. However, when she tells her fiancé, both he and his family are appalled. They immediately want to call off the engagement and are thus bringing Esther before the court, before the Beit Din, as a matter of fraud. Today, serving on the Beit Din are Rabbi Mordecai Simon, Dayan, Rabbi Harvey Well, Av Beit Din, Rabbi Michael Siegel, Dayan.
We welcome you to this session of the Jewish Beit Din. We thank you for coming before us, and we compliment you for having your case heard by my colleagues and by myself. Mr. Waxman, you're the plaintiff in this particular case?
That's correct.
Could you explain to the Beit Din what your concern is or why you're bringing this case before us?
Well, I want to marry Esther. I met her a little over a year ago. She is a traditional Jew, I understand. Her home was a kosher home. We had many interests in common, and we like each other. A little bit before the marriage, my mother and I and Mr. Simon and Esther were talking, and it came up that Esther's mother, there were some questions about Esther's mother, and we finally found out that her mother was not Jewish. Mr. Simon told us that Esther had been immersed in the mikveh as a child. Esther's mother died, I should say, shortly after Esther was born. And Esther was immersed in the mikveh, and there should be a certificate of that. Well, we were willing to go through with a marriage if that certificate could be produced. But apparently Mr. Simon says the certificate was lost. So it's our feeling that Esther should go into the mikveh and be converted before marriage.
And Esther, what are your feelings?
Well, I feel that since I was raised as a Jew, I have the traditions, the values. I believe my father when he told me that I was brought to the mikveh as a child. I respect my father's decision. I had planned on going the night before my wedding, but that doesn't satisfy my fiancé. He wants me to go once before and then before again the night I'm supposed to be married.
Mrs. Waxman, do you have anything that you'd care to add to this case?
I just can't understand her stubbornness. I mean, what is it? We're not asking that much. Why is it that you just don't want to go to the mikveh just one more time?
It's not that I don't want to, it's that I trust my father, and I love Joel, and he seems not to trust me, me or my father.
Could I ask you, Joel and Esther, in premarital counseling with the rabbi who will officiate at your wedding, did he discuss, you reveal this information to him, and did he give you any direction?
Yes, he did, Rabbi. He suggested that Esther be immersed in the mikveh for the sake of conversion. And I feel that's important because we feel very strongly about our tradition, and we don't want even the possibility that it could be diluted in any way by a question of Esther's
Mr. Simon,
Jewishness.
you seem to be a key to this particular case. Can you give us some background briefly?
Yes, Rabbi. As she has explained to you, she was immersed and went through all the ritual of the tradition, and we feel that after telling him that they should appreciate the fact that she was telling the truth. It would be very easy for us to have said there wasn't any fact and give a Jewish name and tell them that there was no problems. But the fact remains she was honest with them, and she felt that they should accept what she said. Besides that, she has agreed to go to the mikveh before the wedding. Now, why she has to do that twice or 3 times, I see no reason for it.
And yet you
Now,
don't have that tangible proof of the fact that Esther did go to the mikveh
no, I
as an
don't have the
infant.
tangible proof because somehow the certificate was misplaced or lost.
Do you recall the events at the mikveh?
Yes, I
Was
do.
there a rabbi there? Do you
Yes, there
remember what-
was.
Yeah, will you describe it to the court?
Well, the rabbi handled it all. It was due to whatever he suggested we do, we did. Unfortunately, this was in another town.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently, I don't have the rabbi handy, nor do I have the certificate handy.
Uh-huh.
However, as Mrs. Waxman just asked me, am I telling the truth in so many words? Well, I feel that at this point, and my daughter is of the same opinion, that if they're questioning our honesty, it goes far beyond the question of being Jewish or not.
I don't
I
think that that's
feel-
the issue for the
I-
court to decide at this point. The point that we wish to find out, and if I might interrupt you, Mr. Simon, is to ask Esther in terms of her background, training, dedication, commitment, as far as she's been concerned all of her life, has been one of involvement in the Jewish community. Has this increased, enlarged itself in the course of your growing up?
Well, I was bat mitzvahed, and later on in life, as I went to college, I became more traditional, yes.
I might add, Rabbi, this young lady went through college and maintained the Jewish tradition throughout, never deviated from it, continued. Consequently, I feel that she has more than paid her debt.
Can I just ask for a moment, has the wedding been planned? Is the wedding imminent? Are we talking about
May I
a
answer that,
ceremony
Rabbi?
that's going to take place in the near future, or?
Right now, the marriage is in a state of suspense. I mean, we don't know what to do. But I wanted to add that I don't think, I'm not questioning Mr. Simon's honesty. It may very well have happened exactly as he said. But Judaism is a religion based on law. And it seems that, you know, that's of great concern to us. We just want to have it verified. It's not that I don't trust you or don't think that you're honest, Mr. Simon. We need that certificate because we have a very strong belief in our tradition.
But Rabbi, we have stated she is willing to go through that before the ceremony, before the wedding. Getting
Well, I
all-
think, Mr. Simon, if we can interject for a moment, there's a difference between the immersion before the wedding and one for conversion. I'm not sure this is the place to really get into all the ramifications of those differences. But I think that we have to separate those two issues, that one does not eliminate the need for the other if that will be our joint decision.
Could I ask Joel, assuming that Esther will go through the ritual of prescribed for conversion, would this bring the two of you back together to the state of planning and going forward as it existed prior to the revelation of this information?
On my part, it would be wonderful if that happened. I love Esther, and I know that she feels strongly about Judaism. If she would just take this one final step, it would just allay our fears and our concerns.
Esther, what does going to the mikveh represent to you for the purpose of conversion? What does it mean to you now? What seems to be the key problem? Is it revolving around your father, trust, or are there any other issues here?
I feel that I am a Jewish person in whole. I don't feel that I have to be converted.
Mm-hmm.
I trust my father. He told me what was done, and I believe him.
I don't think that anyone is doubting your Jewishness here or your feeling Jewishness. Basically, perhaps we could look at the issue as a legal point.
Mhm.
If we approached it in that manner, would that be easier for you? That this was basically a legal issue rather than a case of
What would
Okay.
the terminology be for a legal issue? In what sense?
a legal issue in the sense that we don't have any proof from from the conversion, the first conversion. And to put everyone's mind at ease, we're looking at it from that perspective. Is there any chance that you would be open to that?
Well, now, I may answer for her, Rabbi. You're asking one simple question.
Right.
Is she willing to go through the mikveh now? And she is of the mind, through our discussion, that she has gone through that, and the mere fact that they don't believe that fact to us feels that there's no value to their acceptance of this. They are just not believing of it.
We want to thank you all. We appreciate the presentations that you've made before us. I think that we've heard all of the facts, and my colleagues and I will now go and to consider your case and return with our decision. Well, gentlemen, we've heard this most interesting case. Esther Simon's side of the story and Joe Waxman's. Rabbi Simon, what are your feelings? What reaction do you have?
Actually, I didn't take it as two different sides of the story. It was her reluctance to go through the conversion ceremony, to go to the mikveh for the conversion purposes of conversion, when she lived 20 some odd years in her assumption as a Jew, participating in the religious school and the family life and the synagogue and so forth, and even especially in these last years, her college years in particular, those immediately before this engagement, even more sensitive, more involved in Jewish tradition, and consequently she's trying to say, well, what more do I have to do? And I think he agreed, except he said, but we still need the ceremony, you need the piece of paper, which he couldn't produce. And based on her father's testimony.
I don't think there's any doubt that she has to go to the mikveh. There's no doubt about it. And I think it's just, it revolves around how we're going to present it to her. She's, evidently her father is very much against it for whatever reason. And that wasn't clear to me. Maybe you had some feelings about that.
I think the reason he felt he was against it was it was questioning his integrity. I tell you she was done, you have to take my word. And I don't think he understood or understands to this moment that Jewish law says that if you cannot produce, you must do this. And unless you can produce it there, you have to rectify it.
I think there was some confusion. I think in her mind, this concept of going to the mikveh, whether it's for a conversion or for a marriage, you go to the mikveh, you fulfill whatever function you're supposed to fulfill, and then you've more or less eliminated any further need.
Completed that
And I
responsibility.
really think that that has to be clarified, that going to one does not necessarily fulfill any responsibility for the other.
Nor did I get the impression from her that she understood the gravity of what was going on, that this was a chiyuv. It wasn't simply something to please his parents or anything of that nature, or the rabbi for that matter. It wasn't that it is part of halakha.
And that we're certainly not questioning the father, nor we're questioning the recollection of the father. It's just, which was poor.
Right.
But in this particular case, that a Beis Din has the authority to mandate, that unless he has any documentation that a Beis Din did mandate, that we have an obligation to say to her that there is this particular mitzvah, there's this particular chiyuv, as you put it, that she has to go through. I also felt parenthetically that had we been able to speak to the two children, to Esther and Joel, without their parents being there, without the interference of the parents, then we would have been able to do this much more quickly, and perhaps even without this structure of a Beis Din.
Our halacha mandates a certain procedure. You go through that, doesn't think any less of you as an individual,
No question.
but it is a procedure, and she would be able then to go forward.
I think we
together.
definitely have reached a decision, a consensus of opinion, and we will go back and inform the young couple of our feeling in this matter. we've reached our decision, but before really entering into that decision, again, I want to thank you for bringing your case to the Beis Din, and I trust that both parties will abide by the decision of the Beis Din. We find you to be an extremely lovely couple. We realize the anguish that you're going through, but I think that the love and the feeling that you have for each other is obvious, and we trust that you will be able to work through this problem and that perhaps we'll all get invited to the wedding when it takes place. Esther, we have a principle in Judaism, and that principle is, especially for one who is young and goes through a conversion process, that kol ha-megayer al das Beis Din megayer, that anyone who goes through a conversion enters that conversion under the auspices of the particular Beit Din that performs the conversion. It is not the father or the mother. They have the obligation of bringing you to that point, but it's really the Beit Din itself that sanctions that. This is not a case of whether your father remembers or doesn't remember, whether his word is valid or his word isn't valid. Your father was not the Beit Din at the time of the conversion. There were 3 other individuals who sat there and who gave their consent to that conversion. There has to be documentation that that conversion took place for this ceremony to take place. Just like I believe Joel said, the rabbi who was going to perform the wedding needed that. Certainly the family needs it. And we as a Beit Din would feel that that's only proper. So our decision when it comes to that is that we trust that you will consider that and that you will reconvert. It's not that we're questioning whether the conversion took place or not. The only thing that we're asking is that the certification, the proper certification, be there, and that it again come under that particular classification of kol ha-megayer al dat Beit Din megayer, that the Beit Din is there to give its sanction. As I said before, we hope that you will do this. We trust that this wedding will take place. We think that you're a delightful couple, and we really thank you for bringing your case before us today.
In this case before the Beit Din, Greg Shapiro, who was adopted at birth by his Jewish parents and was converted, circumcised, and brought up as a Jew, comes to the Beit Din and says that before he will become a bar mitzvah, he wants the right to choose. Greg really isn't sure at this point that he wants to have a bar mitzvah, and he feels that since he was too young at birth to give consent to being brought up as a Jew, that at this time in his life, his parents and the Beit Din should provide him with the opportunity to make that decision. On the other hand, his parents insist on the bar mitzvah and strongly feel that till now he has been a Jew, and that today and in the future at the time of his bar mitzvah he will be a Jew. Greg then is bringing his parents before the Beit Din, asking for the choice, asking for the opportunity to choose between being Jewish or not. The plaintiff is Greg Shapiro, and he has brought with him an aunt as well as a friend from school by the name of Amy, who will talk about his decision to make a choice. Sitting on the Beit Din are Rabbi Harvey Well, Dayan, Rabbi Michael Siegel of Beit Din, and Rabbi Mordecai Simon, Dayan.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Beit Din. Greg, tell us what prompted you to come here today.
Well, my parents are making me have a bar mitzvah. I don't want to have a bar mitzvah. I want to have the choice between whether being Jewish or not, which I have not been given.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I've taken it here.
I see. And by taking it here, by taking it to the Beit Din, will you be bound to the decision of the Beit Din? Will you accept the decision of the Beit Din or not? Depending on whether or not you like the decision or not, we want to know if you feel that you will be bound to the decision that we make today for you.
I will accept it.
You will accept. Mr. and Mrs. Shapiro, would you like to address the court for a moment?
Go ahead.
Well, this came as a total surprise to me. I was starting to talk to him about where we should have the bar mitzvah, and he said to me, "There's not going to be a bar mitzvah." And this was the first that I had ever heard of this, and then we got into a little bit of a tiff about, well, I'm not really Jewish anyway, because you adopted me, and you're not my real mother. You're wanting, my real mother probably wasn't Jewish, and she wouldn't have wanted me to have a bar mitzvah, and it went on and on and on. And I was very hurt. We have loved Greg from the very day that he came to us, and we've raised him the way we would raise any son that we would have ourselves. And this was a tremendous shock and a hurt to me.
And you will also abide by the decision of the Beit Din then?
Yes, I will.
Could I ask Greg, until this time, for almost 12 and a half years, you have adhered to the direction of your parents, you've attended religious school, you fulfilled the rituals and the ceremonies and so forth in your home, you've attended services, you've gone through whatever instruction has been incumbent upon you in agreement with your family. Why suddenly, at this point in your life, have you decided to say, this is it, I don't want it anymore?
Because becoming a bar mitzvah, Judaism says that you have to accept all the laws, and I don't know if I'm ready to do that.
Are you familiar with the laws of any other religious denomination? Have you made a study of religion?
No, that's what I want to do.
And you think becoming a bar mitzvah proscribes, says you can't study anything else?
No, but it's saying that I accept Judaism.
How about, could I ask Amy, you are here as Greg's friend. How about you in your direction support, the fact that you're standing at his side indicates some sort of support that you're giving to him?
Well, I feel that since Greg was adopted, and as he just said, and as Greg and I discussed, that his parents didn't give him the choice of what religion he wanted to be. Now, he wasn't born the same, blood. They're not his real parents. And I think he should have the choice, and I don't think they have the right to demand that he has a bar mitzvah or believes anything he doesn't want to believe.
Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not.
Are you, of what practicing faith are you?
Well, I'm Christian. But
Christian. And you are not, therefore, would not consider yourself an expert in Judaism at all?
no, I really know nothing about it except for the fact
Okay,
that they have
except
to have
that you're advising Greg and supporting him in his stand.
Yeah, and I think that he should be able to believe whatever he wants, and he wasn't given the choice. And I think the reason he's here is because he wants the choice.
You seem to be challenging your parents' direction when it comes to the religion and the bar mitzvah aspect. Are there any other areas that you're challenging them on? I mean, could you describe perhaps to the court what your relationship with your parents is? Is it a close relationship?
I think it's been a close relationship, but when it comes to my suggesting something that is other than what they believe, they won't allow it.
But it's only in this area of religion or in the area of the bar mitzvah that you're really making any kind of a case at all?
Yes,
That's where
it
you're
is.
contesting it?
Yes.
You've always been supported and trusted your parents till this point in all other issues, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Greg, you brought your aunt with you. Ms. Fields, why are you here? What is your relationship with Greg? I realize you're Greg's aunt, but in this particular case,
Sorry, it's Mrs. Fields.
excuse me.
I am Greg's aunt by marriage, and when I married into the family, I converted to Judaism. And I'm here only to support Greg's right to a choice.
Greg, do I understand you, just rather quickly, that you're coming before the Beit Din and telling us that you want to consider it, that you want to think about it, that no fast and firm decisions have been made, that you're just unsure at this point as to what your feelings are.
That's correct.
I think we have all the information we need. Thank you. We have to discuss the case of Greg Shapiro and his feelings on a bar mitzvah. I think we ought to start by remembering for a moment the story, or the midrash, shall we say, the rabbinic story on Yaakov and Esav. And there, in the midrash, when they reached the age of 13, they both went their separate ways. Esav, they had been educated together, they had gone to the same school, at least according to this midrash, and when they came to the age of 13, the age of majority, they went their separate ways. I'm not sure that Greg is aware of what he's doing. It wasn't clear to me how he was reacting to his parents, and maybe you had some feelings about that.
I had a feeling that he was acting as someone kind of told him, hey, you're 13, you're, quote, a man, you can think for yourself, and you don't have to do what you're told.
Here you have parents and a young child of 13 years old. It would seem that we have either the ability to bring the family closer together again, to rebuild a sense of family, or to destroy whatever feelings there are that, and I believe from what Greg said, on all other issues, there was this closeness with his parents, with his mother and with his father.
Let me suggest a contract with him, an opportunity to write an agreement with him, and in the contract, he will be given the opportunity to study for a few years, up to the age of majority for us, which is 18, I'd say, and then he'll be able to make a decision which will be binding. That is to say that they will give the choice back over to him. Is that agreeable to both of you?
I would agree to
Fine.
that. Absolutely.
Okay, that's We've reached a decision. Greg, we on the Beit Din want to compliment you for having the courage to come before us today. Now, what we would like to arrange with you is a contract. For the decision that you want to make is a decision that will affect the rest of your life and has a great amount of ramification for you. What we would like to ask is that we draw up a contract between the Beit Din and yourself. And in the contract, we want to spell out that the choice is yours. But what we would like you to do is to spend the next few years, as you said, studying Judaism, and if you care to, studying other religions as well. And on your 18th birthday, I would like you to re-examine the contract. If in fact you decide that you want to make the choice to leave the Jewish faith, or shall we say not accept the Jewish faith, then certainly that is your choice. Of course, we on the Beit Din have our own hopes in this matter, as I'm sure your parents do as well. Will you accept that decision?
I'll accept that.
Very good.